Hello, you soon-to-be collectors. My name is Jamie Dean.
And I'm Scott.
And welcome to another episode of Collecting Retro, where we are talking about one of the games that we've decided to pull off our shelves, our nostalgia shelves, and have a little bit of a wander down memory lane and have a look through the box and share some memories of a particular game that's special to us for one reason or another. Today, I'm going to be sharing a game, and this is probably my most recent acquisition that is going onto my shelf. A very, very much beloved game for me, but not, I don't think, a very well known or... I don't know, I don't remember it being terribly popular, even though it spawned a sequel. I didn't know anybody else who had it back in the day. This is a game for the Nintendo 64, a kart racer for the Nintendo 64, but not the one you're thinking of. It is Snowboard Kids.
Ooh.
Snowboard Kids, Scotty. Did you ever have anything to do with this game?
No.
And I don't think you're alone. No. I don't know that many people did. Or at least that's how it felt to me growing up with it. Like, it was just like this obscure game that no one had heard of, that no one really cared about. I never actually even owned it back in the day. But Gary did. Our good buddy Gary owned this one. And we loved it. We just loved it. This little scrappy underdog, like budget Mario Kart. But you couldn't help but love it. I couldn't anyway. It was just charming as all get out. It was never as good as Mario Kart. Didn't look as good as Mario Kart. Didn't play as good as Mario Kart. But it had enough going for it where it's still, I think, was able to compete in that kart racing genre that had really just been birthed very, very recently in the Super Nintendo era with the first Mario Kart.
Yep.
But I mean, look at the box. Like, even the box art.
I was going to say that box looks like it's in beautiful
condition. This is one of my best condition games I own. Like I've said a lot of times on the channel, I actually like having a little bit of love on the box, a little bit of like creasing and tearing, and like I think it helps tell a bit of a story of the game. Like when they're a little bit battered, they look like they've had a life. You know what I mean? They haven't just been sitting on a collector's shelf their entire life. You can see, like, my boxes like got beat to shit back in the day. And so having that just kind of reminds me of it just adds to the nostalgia for me, and it also helps with the prices as well, which is a good bonus. But this thing is like fucking mint. Like, it is nice, real nice. There's like a bit of a crease here, but that is about, honestly, anything that's wrong. It looks like it's literally just come off a store shelf.
Yeah, I was going to say, it looks like it's like an incredibly well done reproduction box.
Yeah, it does. But like it is 100% legit, just in fantastic condition. Whoever's had it before me has obviously just looked after it like really, really, really well. So, Snowboard Kids. Have a look at the back. It's Mario Kart, but on snowboards. That's the general conceit with Snowboard Kids. Which you would think is like, you know, a bit humdrum, a bit like, okay, why wouldn't you just play Mario Kart? But Snowboard Kids, I think, did some things differently to Mario Kart that actually gave you a different experience to the regular old kart racer or arcade racer of any kind. Now, it was fairly light on content. I remember that. It says it here, rip it up on 9 courses worth of various terrain. I believe only 6 of those courses are actually available at the beginning, like when you first start playing. And you don't unlock the others until a little bit later. But even then, that's still fairly slim. There were only... Gosh, I can't remember how many characters. Well, it says right there, 5 characters. So only 5 characters to choose from. You could only have 4 of them actually on the course at once, not like 8, like in Mario Kart. So your tracks were fairly empty. And that, I think, like, if you could get ahead in Snowboard Kids, it was really, really difficult to rein you in because there was only 3 people behind you to manage it, right? Like it had if you got into first place early and you could put some distance between you and the other three, there was nothing that was going to stop you and bring you back in from first place. Yeah. So it had a little bit of an issue with that, but
and unlike Mario Kart, you're going just straight.
Yeah, that's it.
You're not going in loops.
You're not lapping. There's no laps or anything. Like, you're running down a mountain course. But that is kind of, I think, what gave Snowboard Kids its uniqueness, is the way that it played. We'll have a look at the cartridge. So there it is there, also immaculate. Like I said, probably easily the best condition game in my collection. Box and cartridge likewise. That's I think, yes, it is an original insert in also really, really nice condition. We'll put them over to one side.
Ooh, the poster.
Got my poster, the Nintendo 64 poster that came with absolutely everything back in the day. I'm going to open this up because I want to look at the back of it. Alright, so there it was. Yeah, everyone had like 10 of these. Because it came with everything.
One for every game you bought.
I should put this on the wall. I should, because I've got a bunch of the games I have this in there. You don't often get these still in the. I've got a few of them in the boxes behind me. I should take one out and put it on the wall, really, because it's so emblematic to that era. But this is the real juice.
Yes,
it was always looking through this.
Yeah.
Mario Kart, Pilot Wings, Wave Race, Killer Instinct, Shadows of the Empire, all bangers.
Yep.
We got the Game Boy.
And Game Boy.
Still going strong, the old Game Boy
with
the
pocket. Pocket, that looks like, yeah.
I owned that. I owned that exact pocket, that silver pocket.
Yeah, same here.
Did you really? That was my first Game Boy, was the silver.
I had the silver Game Boy Pocket.
Silver Game Boy Pocket. Very late in its lifespan. I got that, and I bought it, and I got Pokemon Yellow at the same time.
I had on my pocket, Donkey Kong Land 2.
Oh, is that right?
There, yeah. Had
Donkey Kong. Oh, yep, Donkey Kong Land.
On the left. Number 2.
Number 2, that one there?
Yep. That one was the exact one I got with mine. Played it a lot.
All right. Here's the real attraction. The manual's a little bit more beat up than the box is.
Yeah.
Strangely enough.
Yeah, it usually happens when you're taking it in and out of the box.
Not the typical orange, the standard Nintendo 64 manual either that they usually had was an orange manual. I think that was like first party games, perhaps.
Yeah.
Had that one?
Where they GoldenEye did, and that was rare.
Oh, that's true. That's true.
They just had the orangey thing with the orangey book with the just the title.
Yeah, just had the logo and the title and a bit of an N64 in the background that you can kind of make out. The story of the Snowboard Kids. A little bit of a comic intro. I love this. I love this sort of shit. Like when they do this sort of thing. Again, just a lost relic. The controller pack. Talking about the intro screen, game menu, course select, boards. So you had different boards. I don't know how much difference the boards really made, to be honest, but you could at least have the illusion of choice. Maybe they did make it because it was such a fairly straightforward, simple game. But at least gave you the illusion of some choice. Training mode.
You're just picking your color.
Yeah, essentially, picking the one that looks cool. Coins, options, shops on the course. So you could turn the items on and off. You could turn the coins on and off. So, which is more customization than Mario Kart had.
Yeah.
You could change the number of laps that you did on a track, on a course. Battle race. This was the main crux of the game, was battle race. So, in battle race, I'll just stay on that one for now. So the way Snowboard Kids differed itself, I think, from its competition, is it had a cadence to it that Mario Kart didn't have. And that's because you were running down a snowboard course from top to bottom. So you were doing like the same lap, essentially, just like any other kart racer, X amount of times. But because when you got to the bottom, you didn't just start again. You had to go to the chairlift. And the chairlift entry was like this tiny little narrow gate that you had to like line up as you plow in. And if you just got it right, you'd slide straight into the chairlift and up you go. And it was kind of gave you this like this pause. It was like this like race, and then race, and it kind of got this like flow to it, right? Where it's like you'd run down the course and then you'd have a little breather as you went back up the mountain and watch the animation of the chairlift take you back up. And then you were on again and away you went, and then you have a little breather, and then you were on again and had a little breather. And it just sort of like, it had this very like unique kind of flow to it. Whereas in Mario Kart, you're just kind of like on. In any other arcade racer, you're like on from beginning to end. And that's it, right? Whereas you got these little mini gaps between laps, these little mini breaks in Snowboard Kids that I think changed the feeling of the game quite substantially. I think anyway. But otherwise, it was exactly the same. You had item boxes on the course. In this case, you had to save up coins to buy the items as you went through the boxes. You didn't just get them like in Mario Kart. If you went through if you tried to go through one with no coins, they were solid. You just hit them like a rock, and they became an obstacle.
Oh, ouch!
Yeah.
So with the little gates that took you up in the chairlifts,
yes.
Was it common to miss those entirely and it sort of screw up your run a little bit?
Yes. And in fact, that was a big part of the game, especially if it was a close race, right? The closer the race was, the more tense the end of the lap became, because you're all barreling towards this very narrow little entryway to get through the next lap. And because it plays an animation individually when you go through the little checkpoint, the turnstiles to get through, you're kind of like racing each other to be the first one in line to get through that cleanly, and then it would play the animation of you going through the turnstile while everyone else just goes bang, 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 bang into your rear behind you and falls over, right? And then gets up, and now everyone's like scrambling to like jump into the next one through the turnstile, and everyone like bumping into each other. But if you were in front and you didn't quite line it up properly, you just slam into the wall and fall over, and the one behind you would then, that's what you were hoping would happen. And then you could like sneak past them and like slide through, and through you would go. But it was always like this, like, it's like a bottleneck is the best way to describe it, really. There was, at the end of the race, everyone had to funnel through this bottleneck.
Yeah.
And the closer the race was, the more tense that moment becomes as you're all like just piling in and trying to like scramble it. Like whoever's in first could very easily end up in last by like botching the turnstile checkpoint.
Yeah.
And it just added to the game for me. Like, I think a lot of people might find that really frustrating, but for me, it just increased the fun. So there's like a time attack mode, painting the boards. You could change the colors of the boards. Controls. You could do tricks. Now, I can't remember what tricks did in... I think they might have earned you coins, perhaps, in the regular race. But there was a trick mode as well. Now, this is not 1080 snowboarding. Like, doing a trick in as you can see right there, doing a trick in Snowboard Kids was literally press jump as you go over a jump, and then move your stick, like, while you're holding the stick in a particular direction. So you jump and hold right, jump and hold left, jump and hold forward, or jump and hold back, and that's about it for tricks. So I can't imagine that, like, the trick mode would have been terribly exciting. I certainly didn't play much of it. Because I didn't like trick-based games. Like, I wasn't a big 1080 snowboarding fan. I wasn't a big Tony Hawk's skateboarding fan. And I certainly didn't play much of the trick mode in this. It was all about the racing and the Mario Karting, for lack of a better word. But here's the races. You had Slash, Nancy, Playboy Bunny, Jam. Jam was the echidna, but he didn't have an Australian accent. Linda and Tommy, big old Tommy.
Did you have a particular favorite character that was your go-to?
I always went with Slash or Jam, because again, echidna, represent. It was one of those two, usually.
I'd probably go with Tommy because I like to eat.
You do, yeah.
Represent.
That's true. Yep. But yeah, lovely manual, lovely, colourful, lots of art, equipment, the shop. This goes through the different types of items. The items are really like they were unique, but also like they're kind of unique and bland at the same time. Like you had the speed fan, which is basically like a mushroom boost. You had the rock, which is basically like the banana peel. The rat face was like the ghost. You could go invisible. The pan was interesting. The pans would like fly out and like flatten everybody else, like all the other 3 races, like squash them flat, and then they'd have to wiggle their sticks to get back up while you just kept on going. So I guess it's a bit like the lightning bolt.
The lightning strike? Yeah.
There's a ghost as well, in addition to the invisible and the rat face. The parachute. So the parachute, these are just all different variations on shells. So you had defensive, this is the thing, you could carry 2 items. You could carry a blue item, which was a defensive or a support item, and you could carry a red item, which was an offensive item. And this was, again, well before Mario Kart started doing the 2 item thing.
Yeah.
They sort of, I think this, hadn't played another game, another kart racer, not that there were many back then, so this might have been the first one to do the whole 2 item thing. Parachutes, you'd hit them and it would knock them up into the air, and then they'd very slowly float back down on a parachute, just kind of wasting time while you kept going. The freeze shot froze them in place for a certain period of time, and also turned them into an obstacle for other races that you could like plow into. And you had to be careful with the freeze shot not to shoot someone directly in front of you, because then you would just like plow straight into them.
Careen into the back.
Yeah,
of them.
you just careen straight into them, and they would get unfrozen and fuck off before you had gotten back up, so you really only hindered yourself. The bomb does exactly what you would think. The slapstick is basically like a green shell. It just knocks them over. And the snowman, the snowman's interesting that it turns them into a snowman and they can't control the board anymore. So like whatever trajectory they happen to be on when they get turned into a snowman, they just continue along that line. And they have to wiggle the stick to try and break out of the snowman. Hidden stuff. Get all the cups. Lift tickets. If you finish in first place, all 6 of the battle race courses, you will get a bronze lift ticket. Then get a silver lift ticket. Then get a gold lift ticket. What do? Nothing. They're just trophies. Oh, there we go. Look at this. Bit of Q&A. How can I improve my turns? What board should I use?
Oh, it's cool. It's got the individual characters.
Yeah, they're answering. Here's your boy Tommy. I'm always in 4th place. How can I speed up? What does Tommy say? Buy a faster board or play a faster character. Thanks, Tommy. Shoot everyone ahead of you, keeping them down. Tommy's an asshole. Tommy's comes across as kind of a jerk. And there we go. The Snowboard Kids. That's a good little manual, actually. I like that one. Nice and colourful. Lots of character art.
Yep.
Yeah, lots of character. And that was the game. The game had a lot of personality, I feel. Had a great soundtrack. Yeah, just a really good little kart race. Its biggest downfall was that it was really light on content by comparison to, you know, Mario Kart 64 or Diddy Kong Racing.
Mario Kart, right? How many levels Mario Kart had, and 8 characters, was it?
Yeah, Mario Kart had 8 characters. It fielded the full 8 on every race. I think it had, gosh, how many cups did Mario Kart 64 have? I don't remember. I should know that. But it had, like, each cup had 4 tracks, right? And it had at least 4 cups. So that's like 16 tracks as opposed to the 6 that you get, and then you can unlock 3 more eventually. Yeah, this was a very slim offering compared to the competition, but I would almost say that this has more character and personality to it than either Mario Kart or Diddy Kong Racing. Maybe as much as Diddy Kong, because I know that's very, very characterful as well. But yeah, I just adored it, and I played this live on stream. Gosh, when did I do that? I can't remember if it was this year or last year. Recently.
I think it might have been last year.
It might have been last year. And
closer to the end of
I still really enjoyed it. I still really thoroughly enjoyed it. Again, even though it has slim pickings on content, It definitely loses something in playing it solo, like all kart races do.
Yeah.
But as a four-player throwdown, this happily sat alongside Mario Kart 64 in our sort of collective group of games that we owned, between the pair of us, Gary and I. And we loved them both. We would happily play this and then play Mario Kart. Like, this one didn't replace the other in our gameplay. So Mario Kart, like, it wasn't good enough to topple Mario Kart. I don't like it as much as Mario Kart. But I definitely have really, really good fond memories of this one. Very, very nostalgic game. And if you haven't tried it, I don't know how you would. You'd have to emulate it or something. But yeah, spawned a sequel, which is like one of the most valuable games on the Nintendo 64, Snowboard Kids 2. Goes for thousands of dollars on the second-hand market. Stupid money. And I never thought that this was popular enough to warrant getting another run. Like I said,
and that would be why it's worth thousands.
It could be. I don't know if maybe number 2 didn't sell particularly well.
It from what I understand about it, because Sylvia's oldest brother has a video game collection.
Yep.
And he was a big fan of Snowboard Kids 1 back in the day.
Yep, nice.
But
he's the other one.
He remembers. He's the other one. He remembers that Snowboard Kids 2 got a slew of bad reviews at the time.
Right.
So that's why he chose not to buy it.
Yeah. Okay.
So, and I've heard several accounts that Snowboard Kids 2 wasn't anywhere near as well received as Snowboard Kids 1.
Right.
So it ended up in the bargain bins quite a bit.
Yep.
No one wanted it. And now, because no one wanted it,
that's how they get valuable.
It's valuable.
From memory, like, Snowboard Kids 2 changed the look of the game quite a bit. Like, this had very, like, chibi, cute characters. And I think Snowboard Kids 2 tried to, like, turn the Snowboard Kids into teenagers, basically, but, like, kind of took them from these chibi style art into, like, fully anthropomorphic, much more, like, human proportioned kind of, Nightmare Fuel, Uncanny Valley kind of things. Certainly, it's not something that gelled with me. I really liked this particular look.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it wasn't the most graphically intensive game ever, like it wasn't the best looking game in the world. But yeah, the soundtrack, I think, did a lot of heavy lifting on this one. Really hummable soundtrack. And you were listening to that soundtrack over and over and over again, because there weren't many songs on it, but they were just nice, catchy, joyful tunes. Yeah, just a banger. I love it. I really, really love it. And yeah, I've got, again, lots of really good memories playing this, especially at Gary's house. Every time we were there, like, this was going on. Gary and I both had big families, lots of siblings, so there was always a full quantity of 4 players, and yeah, a winner.
Kind of feel bad for the 5th character that doesn't get picked.
Yeah, right.
When it's got full controller ports.
Well, there we go.
Is this game on Switch online at all?
No, it's not. And I can't. That's what I mean. I don't. Like, it was just this weird, obscure game that I had never heard of when he picked it up. When I think he got given it at some point for a birthday or Christmas or something like that as a collective family gift. And it was like, Snowboard Kids? What the fuck is that? Like, I never heard of it before. Nobody else I knew who had a Nintendo 64 had it. I didn't have it. And so, like, I didn't read about it in magazines. You didn't see it. It just never seemed to be anywhere. So, yeah, like I said, surprised it got a sequel, an obscure little title. But if you are out there and you're watching this and you played Snowboard Kids, if you owned it, if you played it, if you loved it, if you hated it, leave us a comment and let me know some of your experiences playing this little unsung Nintendo 64 gem, I think. Yeah, very much got overshadowed by Mario Kart and Diddy Kong Racing, and I think that is a little bit of a disservice to just how charming and fun Snowboard Kids actually was. But yeah, that's it. That's going to do it from us for this particular video. Thank you so much for hanging out. I hope that was an enjoyable, nostalgic little trip down memory lane. But until next time, my name has been Jamie Dean.
I'm Scott.
And make sure you keep on side scrolling. We'll see you on the next one. Take care.